Hi, I'm Phil Kelly, and I have my guest,
Hi.
Rod Tam. This is program number 2. And the title of this program is Hawaii's Economy. Now, Rod Tam is a former state representative and a former senator and a former city councilman. All for 28 years you did all those
Yes,
three things.
28 years.
So he has a lot of experience, and you know about Hawaii's economy.
Well, what it is basically I played a big role in being out in the community rather
Yeah.
than behind a desk. And
Yeah.
you get to learn a lot more and talk to your constituents more.
Yeah, the people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And so you were mentioning to me that something about recessions and
Yeah,
inflation and all
today
that.
in our economy, we have a recession and inflation together. And people say, what do you mean? You can only have one at a time. I said, no, we have both.
Mm.
A recession is when people have a hard time living day
Ah.
to day. And when you look upon one of the big problems today is the homeless.
Even local people are homeless.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you think of homeless as those that live on the street, in the parks and so forth, okay? And though they may be living there illegally, but they're sleeping in tents, okay? Or under the buildings, basically.
Mhm. Even under the freeways.
Under the freeways also, too. There are also homeless that have homes who have extended families.
They live with their extended family.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a home.
They don't have a home. They can't afford it, basically. And though we are parents, I have two grown children,
Mm-hmm.
and though we do our best in terms of education, they may have good jobs, but then they can't afford. And
Yeah.
so they live with the parents.
Because of the runaway inflation too.
Yeah, and if they can't live with the parents, then they're homeless. So
Yeah.
technically, those that live with the parents or relatives are homeless.
Yeah, they
Because
don't
they
have
can't
their
afford
own
the
home.
rent, they can't afford to buy,
Yeah.
right? With the cost of inflation now, this is where inflation is, the high price of goods and services
Yeah, and rent.
beyond the means of your earning capacity, basically.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
But one of the reasons for people having to live beyond the means is because they use a charge card too much.
Yeah.
You know, I for myself haven't used a charge card for over 10 years.
Oh, congratulations. Awesome.
And basically, I try to create a budget
Yeah.
and live within my means.
Yeah,
you know.
that's awesome.
I buy things on sale, quite frankly.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
Big factor.
Money saved
Okay,
is money earned.
saved, yeah. But we have the highest cost of living in the United States.
Is that right?
Hawaii has the highest cost of living.
Even food, yeah.
Yeah, you want to buy a gallon of milk on sale, it's over $5.
Oh boy.
Yeah. You go to California, you pay about half the price,
Yeah.
right?
I've seen it.
Okay,
Yeah.
now, one of the reasons for the high rate of inflation is because we had a monopoly before. And we still do in some sense. It's called Matson Navigation Company.
Oh.
Okay, Matson had political influence, influenced by former deceased senator, Congressman Danny Noy.
I see.
Danny Noy had stocks in Matson.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
There you go.
So he was in a conflict of interest financially.
Yeah.
Okay, so he wanted this monopoly to occur because it benefited him financially,
Yeah.
yeah, money wise.
Sure. Oh boy.
And I believe that his family still has the stocks in Matson. Okay, we need diversification or competition, basically,
Yeah.
in terms of shipping.
And there's a shipping law that says from foreign countries it has to go through California before it can even come to Hawaii.
That's the Jones Act.
Yeah.
One of the big supporters of the Jones Act was, like you said, goods made in Asian countries had to go to California rather than come here first.
And we're on the way
and
to
they went around
California.
the roundabout way
And
to
cost
get
the
here.
shipping
Yeah.
twice as much, three
So,
times as much.
Again, it was Matson and
Yeah.
Danny Noy. Danny Noy was a big supporter of the Jones Act.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was self-interest again, unfortunately. Very
Yeah.
unfortunate.
And the people suffer.
Yeah.
They pay 3 times the
Right.
shipping cost.
And then I knew about it, read about it actually to the newspaper. It came out openly, but nothing happened to him,
yeah.
basically.
Sure,
Yeah.
because it's all connected.
It's all connected.
They're
yeah.
connected. The good old boys
Right.
take care of each other.
Yeah.
That's the
So
organized
it's good to
crime.
have more competition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And by the way, we depend too much on tourism. We should diversify more so our economy grows more.
sure. And there's even a lot of land available that could be farmed too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not being used for that.
Right. Well, farming is not easy work.
Oh,
but,
no,
But
it's-
basically, we need to have it be self-sustaining, subsistent right now.
If Manson shuts down for
See
1
me.
week, we'll all be starving to death. We won't have food
Yeah.
to eat. And people will not be happy. There'll be a bunch of angry islanders.
There is a
when they're
tourist shipping
starving.
company coming in
Oh.
next year.
Oh.
This year, actually.
Oh,
hopefully.
good then.
Yeah.
Well, that's a plus. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Right now, you have Pasha and Matson.
Oh
There's
yeah,
gonna
I
be a
know
third one.
Pasha.
Yeah.
I know them.
Third one's going to be coming in this year, sometime in 2018.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Of course, Matson doesn't want the competition.
Yeah. But Daniel Inouye is not around to
Yeah.
stop it now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So the only way to have the Jones Act amended, so we can have foreign goods coming here first before going to California, is to have an amendment, and the people got to speak up.
yeah,
Yeah.
there was one politician that was in charge of making that amendment to the Jones Act, but somehow he didn't get in. Yeah.
Yeah. What was his name? Ed Case.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And Danny Noy went after him.
And took him out. Yeah,
he-
politically. Yeah, kind
He
of.
told me he learned a lesson. Yeah,
Don't go
and-
against Daniel Inouye. Yeah.
Yeah, at that time. Yeah. But
Yeah.
Danny Noy is dead, and so we need to make new directions for Hawaii's economy.
Mhm.
It's very, very important. Yeah.
Yeah. To save our economy. Yeah.
I'm asking the state legislature this year, 2018, to introduce legislation to improve our economy.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that we can do is give tax refunds more to the people.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Over 10 years ago, Taiwan was economically poor off. So what they did is they gave money to the taxpayers, $200 or so.
Mm-hmm.
And people are saying, well, they're going to pay off their credit, credit charges and so forth. But that's okay. When they pay off their credit charges, they buy more on the credit card, or they use the money for
Yeah,
buying
put
more
it back in the
merchandise.
economy,
Right,
yeah.
put it back in the economy.
Sure, and it gets taxed as they
Right.
spit it into the economy.
Years ago, when Hawaii tried to put money back into the economy, to Congress, what they did, they gave it to the companies. And you know what the big companies did? They said, oh yeah, give us the money, then we can improve the economy. They gave it to their executives, the CEOs.
Oh
They
yeah.
raised their salaries
Oh boy.
and fringe benefits and so forth. And didn't go back into our economy.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's the mistake.
And
Yeah.
basically, the ones who spend the most money are the low income and middle income people. Rich people do not spend money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we middle income and low income spend our money on everyday living costs,
Mhm.
food, clothing,
Mhm.
rental, mortgages, and so forth.
Yeah.
The rich ones basically making three figures, over $100,000 plus, basically can make big savings because they don't need that much money
I
as
see.
compared to the family who are just barely making a living on buying food,
Mhm.
clothing, and rental.
Plus, there's a huge volume, like maybe 90% of the population is low and middle income,
Right.
and less than 10% of the population is the CEOs, for example.
Right.
So with all that volume of people, that's pouring much more money into the economy than less than 10%, which are the wealthy CEOs.
Well, I guess people, look out there, look how many people are homeless. They can't even survive themselves, basically. And
That's an interesting concept, that the people who have to live with their parents
Yeah.
are homeless because they don't have their own home. Yeah.
Right,
And
right.
so the parents are taking care of the homeless people.
I remember as a young kid, back in the 60s, early 60s, we lived with my grandparents,
Hmm.
and we just couldn't afford it. My father was working 3 jobs at a time,
Wow.
and then we lived with my grandparents. And I have a brother and sister, and my mother was the homemaker, taking care of the family needs. But my father worked 3 jobs, and that's an example in terms of not being able to afford rent, basically.
Right, and you help take care of you all help take care of the grandparents too, yeah, a little
Yes.
bit. You help them
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
so that's cool.
By the way, over 60% of our population on the island of Oahu are senior citizens.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of senior citizens have to go back to work. They retired and they have to go back to work.
Look at me, I'm
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
I have to work, but I love to
Right.
work.
Yeah. I'm 64 years old,
Hmm.
and I just can't retire, quite frankly, because the cost of living is too high. That's called inflation,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's runaway inflation. The housing cost
right?
in the last 12 months in Hawaii went up about over $100,000
Yeah.
per unit.
Right.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of neat. If you would have bought a place 12 months ago, sell it, make $100,000
by
profit,
all
and go
means.
to the mainland and get cheap rent and cheap house,
Yeah.
that's all
I
right.
tell you one thing, that as a city councilman, I tried to make the changes in the property tax assessment. Our property tax is now assessed at market value. So if you have a house, or many of those out there in the community who have a house, and you have no plans to sell the house and make money off it,
Yeah,
and someone next door to you or within the community sell their house for big money,
800,000, yeah.
right? And you bought your house maybe for
100,000,
200,000 years ago, the value will go up because somebody else sold the house and speculated. What they call speculation.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you're suffering basically as a senior citizen.
yeah,
Many
high
senior
property
citizens cannot
tax.
pay the property tax.
They'll take
I'm-
away their house.
I'm publicly asking the city council and the mayor to amend the formula for tax assessment. Get rid of that market value.
Yeah,
Assess it at the rate of inflation rather than the market value.
yeah,
Market value is only speculation.
yeah, and it's going up faster than inflation,
Right. So
the inflation
what's
rate.
going to happen? And many senior citizens have to sell their homes,
Yeah,
because they
It's
can't
all paid
afford
off,
the
and
property tax.
yeah, and
But it's going to be a financial burden also on the state and the city to find housing for them. So it comes around in circles, and people are just not well off today in terms
Yeah.
of making a day-to-day living.
yeah, most people do have to do 2 or
Yeah.
3 jobs.
Right.
Yeah, or they have to lie about their income and get
Right.
social assistance when
Right.
they're lying about their income. I've seen that happen too.
Oh yes, yes.
And we lived in Waianae over 30 years.
Oh, okay.
Lots of the local people in Hawaii, we go to church, we tell them, okay, try go to church, be Christian,
Yeah.
follow the Bible. And I said, you guys been shacking up and you got
Yeah.
3 or 4 kids, why don't you guys get married? They say, we can't afford to get married.
Right.
If we get married, we'll lose our welfare for all our children.
Yeah.
And all our free housing and free rent and free car insurance and free food, and they lose all the benefits if they get married. So they have to be a single mom, and the dad is officially not living there, but he is living there. But he's sneaking around.
Wow. What we need to build our economy, we need training programs
Yeah.
for the youth,
Yeah,
so that they can be trained in terms of doing jobs, right?
yeah,
By the way, there's about 20% dropout in public schools today, in
is
high
that
school.
right? Oh,
And this is from 9th grade to 12th grade. So, but then they begin to realize that they need a high school degree. They go back to get their high school diploma, but they can't get a job because they need the training. So I came from a time back in the 1980s as a state representative and senator in the 90s where we had job training programs.
yeah,
It was a combination of teamship by state government, federal government, unions, labor unions, and businesses,
and
putting in resources to train people so that they're capable of working.
good,
A
yeah.
simple thing like learning how to operate a cash register.
Yeah, yeah. I had a little construction company in
Yeah.
Waianae, and I would train people how to be a dump truck driver
Right.
and how to be an equipment operator and how to be concrete finisher when we do
Good.
concrete work.
Right.
And I've had some of them quit their job.
Wow.
And they say, hey, I'm making too much money. I'm not qualified for my welfare benefits. So they quit. They say, come on, make some more money.
Yeah.
And they say, no, we're losing all our...
You know, it's sad that we don't have any training programs, job training programs nowadays. That's funded by a partnership of, like I said, government,
And
unions,
business.
and businesses
Yeah.
anymore.
Sure.
So, how can you people get a job if they don't have any experiences? They don't no
Right.
job training.
Yeah.
Going back to college, it's not affordable nowadays. Quite
Mm-hmm.
frankly, if you don't have a job, how can you afford to go to college? Right?
Yeah, I know. We're
So
in
you
the...
need subsidizing job training programs.
Sure. When I was in Kailua High School in the
Uh-huh.
early 60s, but my parents moved to the mainland, so I
Right.
did military, and then I
Oh.
finished college on the mainland.
Right.
And when I was finishing up college
Yeah.
at the University of Texas, I wanted to learn all kinds of trades, because even though going to college, majoring in business management, I love construction.
Right.
So it's just my field, That's what my specialty. And
Right.
so I would go try to get jobs, And so I went to a welding school while I was going to
Oh.
college. I went to welding school at night. So I learned how to weld. Then I go to the welding shop way back in 1971, 72. And I say, hey, I went to welding school. I learned how to weld. Can I have a job? And they go, no, you don't have any experience. So I went back to the guy 10 times.
Wow.
Keep on asking him and bothering him. And I finally wore him down. He says, okay, I'll hire you.
Good.
In 1972, as a welder in a shop called Spiller's Welding Shop in Austin, Texas, for $1.75 an hour.
Oh.
And after 2 weeks, he said, I'm sorry, I have to let you go. You're just not good enough. Not worth it. That's what happened. But then I had experience, so I went to the next welding shop and said, I have experience. I worked over here at Spiller's Welding Shop. And he says, okay, we hire you $2.50 an hour.
Oh my.
And I was a layout man, for, and we had all Mexican workers in the welding shop, and I would read the plans and lay everything out, and I'd put the clip on the I-beam and clamp it on there, and I'd tell them, okay, weld them. That's all I have to say, and they weld it.
Wow.
And then, because they don't know English and I don't know Spanish, but they know when I say weld them. And then I worked there for a while, and then I asked the foreman, he's been there 9 years. I said, so is the company treating you good? How much are you making? He goes, I've been here 9 years, and now I'm making $3 an hour. I thought, oh, whoop-de-doo. So I had to come back to Hawaii and, in the Boilermaker Welders Union, and then back in '73 we made...
Experience counts a lot.
Yeah, so I love...
Even after my 28 years of public service as a state representative, senator, and city councilman, I learned in terms of what I do now, a business consultant.
Yeah, man.
Do business plans, marketing plans,
Right
legal
on.
research. I'm not an attorney, but I can do legal research.
Yeah, you're better than a lot of attorneys,
And
actually,
I know
because you know the
structured
system.
process of government, so I can get the information.
Yeah,
public
man.
Information.
Awesome.
And then I also learned how to do international relationships with China, Taiwan,
Oh, right.
Japan. And the mannerism, the characteristic is very important.
Yeah.
In
And you know the customs and traditions, yeah?
cultures and the
Oh, yeah.
values and so forth. And see, I'm culture oriented. I'm Chinese and
Yeah.
fourth generation. But
Yeah.
I've learned in terms of the culture values, in terms of not only Chinese but the Japanese, the Filipinos, and Vietnamese and others.
Sure, you're a genius and you're well educated. Me, I just know
But
construction.
then that's all based on experience. That's why I want to emphasize that we need job training programs.
Yeah.
So that people are able to sustain their lives. Yeah.
So you're helping to develop that, yeah?
Right.
Or encourage
right,
people
Right.
to do the right thing and help each other, yeah.
And in fact, I want to also say that in Hawaii's economy, we should diversify. Not only have tourism as a main feature of our economy, but diversify in terms of international business.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and
We
trade.
have the different ethnic cultures. We have over 100 ethnic cultures in Hawaii.
Even,
We should
I
make
know,
use of it.
And Caucasians are a minority race too.
Well, yeah, ironically,
Which is fine.
they're
It's
the
okay
biggest
with me.
number, but they're the minority,
Yeah.
basically, in terms of know-how, culture values.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Caucasians
Yeah.
got a lot to learn
Yeah.
about.
I once, years ago, was approached by a Caucasian person who came from California. He said, I love Hawaii. I live in Hawaii now. And I say, what do you like about Hawaii? You say, I like the culture, the people. They're very friendly. And the environment is very warm. And, it's almost like having spring all year round, quite
Yeah.
frankly. So I said, out of curiosity, no offense, I know you're Caucasian, but what ethnicity are you? He said, Caucasian. I said, no, ethnicity means that
Yeah.
whether you're English, French,
Right.
Spanish,
German, whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, my birth certificate says Caucasian.
They
And I
don't
said,
even
well,
know.
maybe when you were younger, as a youngster, you had different type of food that you focused on in terms of maybe you had a lot of Italian food, for example, right? And he said, well, think back. And so he thought back. He said, oh, I know, Thanksgiving. I said, no, Thanksgiving is not culture.
Yeah, I know.
And here in Hawaii, where I grew up in an Asian community, we
Yeah.
knew that Thanksgiving, what its purpose was not culture, it was a time of thanks.
Yeah, that's
right?
be
Family
thankful.
get
Yeah.
together,
Yeah.
right? But he thought Thanksgiving was culture. Right? So there needs
Yeah.
to be an understanding of what culture values are.
Yeah.
And I think we are the place to have it,
Mm-hmm.
to embrace it.
Yeah, embrace it. That's what we
And
love
to
about
embrace
Hawaii.
it whereby it became used for international business.
Sure.
Now, Danny Noy didn't want that at all.
He didn't?
He said that he wanted international relationships and so on, but then actually he wanted to control it.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, without him now, we can open up the arena.
And not be so manipulated and
Right,
controlled by
right.
politicians.
Well,
yeah?
again, his interest was stocks and Matson.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right. It all goes back to money.
And you're writing a book. Why don't you tell a little bit about your book?
Well, the title is Politics in Hawaii.
Yeah.
It'll tell people in terms of what my experience is and what other people believe in also too, the politics here, some of the corruption as you may call it.
Oh, yeah. We went in,
Yeah.
we were talking about that, you
Yeah.
and me, way back in the
Uh-huh.
late 80s.
Right.
And
The special interest involvement and so forth, and what we can do is by having knowledge and to overcome it.
Yeah.
So our economy can flourish, right?
yeah, flourish. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. And now I know a guy
Uh-huh.
who was. I lived in Waianae over 30 years, so
Oh, okay.
I was in Kailua High School, did military and college,
Mm-hmm.
came back in '73. We lived in Waianae over 30 years. So back in the '70s, Charlie Stevens
Right?
was in charge of organized crime
Right.
in Hawaii, and the West Side. I
Right.
mean, in the West Side. So it was in the newspaper. I'm only saying what the newspaper said.
Sure.
So Charlie Stevens had his organized crime group in Waianae, and he had a gang,
Oh.
his gang. If
Okay.
you aren't a member of his gang, if you're a member of his gang, you pay tax to the gang.
Okay.
For all
okay.
the crimes you do, you pay a tax to the
Right.
organization.
Right.
Charlie Stevens pays a percentage of that tax to the Waianae Police Department.
Oh, yeah.
So they're in partnership together
Right.
in organized crime.
Yeah.
And then it worked well. Here's why it worked well. I'm not saying it's right,
Yeah.
but here's why it worked well. Anybody that's not in Charlie Stevens' gang, Charlie Stevens and his gang members turns them into the cops and tells them, you can bust these guys. Here's what they're doing at this time in this place. And the cops would go bust them and make the arrest. So
Right.
they catch all the crooks that are not in Charlie Stevens' gang.
Right.
But if they're in Charlie Stevens' gang, they're getting a piece of the action, so they let them do their crimes. That's why they call it organized crime.
Oh.
And so there's all kinds of things that happen with Charlie Stevens. He was convicted of murder,
Right.
and it was a boy and a girl that were in his gang, and they got murdered. by Charlie Stevens, and he got convicted. And Judge Shintako had a big gambling debt.
Right.
And you know the story.
Right.
Yeah, it's in the newspaper.
Yeah.
This was back in the 70s and the 80s, before Charlie Stevens went to prison.
Right.
But he didn't go to prison for that, because he was found guilty by the jury. But Charlie Stevens was letting Judge Shintako get by with his gambling debts from Vegas, and Charlie Stevens was, one of his jobs was helping the casinos in Vegas collect their
Right.
gambling debts from people in Hawaii who ran off like that. So Judge Shintako acquitted Charlie Stevens and turned him loose after he was convicted of murder by the jury.
Yeah.
And then Judge Shintako got beat up in his North Shore. The public was outraged. Judge Shintako got beat up by somebody in his North Shore house, but he didn't die. Then when he went back to Vegas to go gamble and party some more, he was up in his condo at the Vegas real high, and they found him on the ground dead.
Yeah.
With no blood. And they said he's committed suicide, but actually there was no blood. He was murdered and thrown out.
Oh.
And nobody cared, but it went down as a suicide, you see?
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that's
nobody cared because there's one less crooked judge.
Yeah.
And so now, so many years later, Charlie Stevens went to prison for other stuff. And he's in federal prison in California, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
And here's the deal, why we relate. We got 3 minutes left.
Good.
Charlie Stevens in prison, and he's writing a book. It's the same title as your book. Hawaii Politics, Organized Crime in Hawaii, How It Works. And what happened? Immediately, he got murdered in prison. He cannot write a book like that.
Yeah.
Now, the good thing is, you write your book real quick. If you get murdered, you're going to be famous. Your book's going to be famous.
Yeah.
And I don't think you're going to get murdered, because God can prevent that.
I learned something today.
You had threats on your life already. God will not allow it.
Yeah.
He has things for you to do.
Well, I learned something today that the mode in terms of how they have to go after people is different. In the days of the early 1900s to the 1990s, they would kill people.
Yeah.
Right. Today they don't do that. What they do is they go after you financially.
Oh,
Use
yeah.
the court system.
Oh yeah, the crooked court system.
Because we have appointed judges.
Oh,
so
yeah.
backroom deals and so forth.
Oh yeah, backroom
Yeah.
deals. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
And
they're told what they have to do because they're appointed. Yeah.
Right, right.
And they make, a lot of times the decisions are made, and the going through the court process is just a front. Their decision has been made. They've been told what to do.
Right.
We know that.
Yeah.
You've seen it. I've seen it too.
Right.
And my lawyer, Joe Ryan, I got a cramp in my leg.
Yeah.
Joe Ryan used to tell me, he's a lawyer, old-time lawyer,
Yeah.
and he told me, it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. If you go to court, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, you don't.
Right or wrong is not in the picture.
Yeah.
It depends on how the money flows under the table and all these factors.
Right.
If the judge likes your attorney or doesn't like your attorney, or likes you or doesn't like you, it's all.
I had the judge turn around one day against me. Basically, I know that he got word from behind doors, and basically, I was told that Danny Noy wanted to bankrupt me and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and purposely put me in prison for 2 days, just before New Year's Day, several years ago. But then what happened is I was lucky, whereby some of the administrators in prison said, "We're going to protect you." I said, "Why?" "Put you in solitary protection unit." And I said, "Why?" "Because there's a contract on you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's what they do. They killed my friend in prison
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
too. He was head of the.
But you know what happened to me? It made me more bold today to stand for justice.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm determined to fight for justice and help people.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what it says in the Bible? It says, "The wicked flee,
Yeah.
though no one pursues."
Right.
They're running away. They're scared. They're flee, even though nobody pursues. But the righteous are as bold as a lion.
Yeah.
It says that in the Bible.
You know what's ironic in closing?
And look, we got 5
in
seconds.
closing, I go every day. I'm out in the community, whether I go shopping or whatever, and people recognize me and they talking to me.
They like you.
Yeah, and I'm surprised. I haven't been in office since 2010, but I really believe that my calling is to help people.
Yeah, and you're doing it. Thank you,
Hey,
Rod.
thank you very much. Thank
We'll
you.
do this again,
Okay.
and you guys can
Okay.
look on video on demand of Olelo, and you can send this to your friends. You can get the link from there after it plays. Thank you.
Aloha.
We had fun. You guys are awesome. You want me to keep this, Rod?
Yeah, you can have that. Thank you
Okay.
very much. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That was awesome, man.
Yeah, thank you.
So Doug Chin is the head of